to War Notes with your host, me, myself, indeed, Pavi LG, bringing you one uninterrupted briefing on escalating global conflict, economic turmoil, and the specter of World War III. Today is August 4th, 2025. It's beautiful Monday morning. It's 9:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember that War Notes is your everyday, all listening, no segment news dispatch. And today's episode examines mounting threats to the United States, the growing risk of global war, and how economic indicators echo the darkest days of the Great Depression. Today, global tensions are peaking in multiple theaters. In the Europe-Ukraine front, former Russian leader Dmitry Medvedev warned that nations aiding Ukraine should brace for nuclear strikes, a shift from deterrent rhetoric to active threats aimed at Western allies. In response, President Trump ordered the repositioning of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines near Russian waters to signal readiness amid escalating saber rattling. Meanwhile, Russia and China have launched massive naval exercises in the Sea of Japan, increasing joint operations and strategic alignment, heightening concern over coordinated military action across multiple fronts. In the Middle East, U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites triggered Iranian missile and drone retaliation against U.S. bases in Iraq and Qatar, raising fears of broader escalation. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte cautioned that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan paired with Russian aggression in Europe could ignite World War III soon, calling the West's current defense posture inadequate. Economically, major indicators resemble warning signs from history. Stock valuations are exceeding dot-com era highs. The Buffett indicator sits near 198%, and the Shiller PE ratio harkens back to previous bubble peaks. Despite optimistic market sentiments declaring the U.S. economy, quote, recession-proof, end quote, analysts warned valuations are stretched and geopolitical instability may trigger a dive. Bank of America and Peterson Institute economists now place the probability of stagflation, simultaneous inflation, and economic contraction at over 60%, while some forecast a U.S. recession probability as high as 40% in the coming year. Indicators such as slower consumer spending, slowed job growth, and contracting industrial output fortify those concerns. The specter of a new global conflict coupled with economic collapse draws painful parallels to the 1930s Great Depression, rampant, speculative, financial excessive, trade disruption, broken confidence, unemployment surging, and systemic failure. While today's institutions are stronger, the doomsday clock now stands at just 100 seconds to midnight, reflecting the combined risk of nuclear war, conflict, climate crisis, and breakdown of NORS. Now, here's the key takeaways for today's listeners from this morning's program. If you're just joining in, Russia's threats now directly target U.S. allies, not just Ukraine. That's including us here on the mainland. Raising nuclear stakes. That means you must be prepared at home. That means if you don't have a bomb shelter, you need to plan on where you're going to go. If you have to go to somebody's basement or where you can be enclosed in. When radioactivity occurs, it can reach up to, I believe, don't quote me on this, go ahead and look it up, the information yourself, but I'm pretty sure from what I've read in the past, it can hit out to about 1,000-mile radius, or up to 100-mile radius in that zone, something to that effect, where it goes very far out. I believe it's 100-mile radius. So definitely do your research, but we have nuclear pills, which are potassium iodine pills to protect your organs just in case we have a nuclear fallout. Now, some people don't want to think about those things, but if you don't think about them and then these things happen, you won't even have a chance. America responded. Another key development to take away from today's radio broadcast is that America responded by deploying nuclear subs. As we know, it might not be the best move, as you can see. So we just have to sit back and watch how this turns out. Russia and China reciprocated with joint war games. As of now, today, they're doing war games, China and Russia, and they're preparing because now we have 2 nuclear submarines pouring towards Russia. So now that we've threatened them, they're going to come back and now make their plans to try to get back at us. That's just really what's going on. That is reality. Sometimes the truth hurts, but you must hear it, and you will hear the truth here. Now, tensions flare across Europe and the Middle East. Missile exchanges, trade warfare, and defense pacts. Financial markets show bubble signals despite rally, stagflation, and recession risk are rising fast. Now, today's crisis resembles Great Depression dynamics, geopolitical shocks, economic instability, and speculative excess, and destabilize global order. Now, that concludes this urgent War Notes dispatch, live, unbroken, and critical. And I am Pabio G, urging you to remain alert, discerning, and ready as the currents of conflict and crisis sweep across the globe. Thank you all so much for listening and tuning in. Have a beautiful and blessed day, and welcome God to the room. Welcome, and give a shout out to God that's in the room that says hello. I welcome you to the program, and I hope you are subscribed for future updates. Thank you all for listening.